What is up, guys? Rogue TCG, and this is going to be a video on the new Master Duel game. I've been grinding a couple days. This is day 2 of the release. I've been grinding quite a bit, and this is going to be for Phantom Knights specifically. If you're here for anything other than Phantom Knights, I might say one or two things about them in relation to Phantom Knight, but other than that, this is specifically going to be for Phantom Knight. So I'm going to be going, first of all, I'm going to be going over I believe 4 or 5 different deck lists that I made. I am by no means am a good deck builder. In fact, I'm quite a bad one. But these are my personal takes on Phantom Knight. You can do with them what you wish. So we're going to go over here to deck. And first we're going to start with budget. So for budget Phantom Knight, this is what I made. So if you can notice, there's only, the extra deck isn't fully filled out. This is what I think is personally, like, not required, but what I would personally put in there, and then the extra 5 or so slots, you can put whatever you want. That's completely up to your discretion. These are the cards that I think are going to be necessary. Some of these you can cut, like Raiders Knight or Gossip Shadow, for your own certain things. Like you can put the Evil Swarm card in there. I just completely forgot to do that. But there is some cards that I think are necessary for budget PKs. Budget PKs and budget cards in this deck, I'm going to take it so you only run a couple of the ultra rares, or whatever they call them, the URs. Since you're only running a couple, I put them all in the extra since they're easily accessible. For Phantom Knight, you're always going to need a Cherubini and a Rusty, so that's at least 2 ultra rares you're going to need for the deck. But other than that, the deck is very cheap. The highest rarity in the main deck goes up to super rare for the main Phantom Knight engine. I chose not to include the tour guides because tour guides are all ultra as well. And same thing with almost all the hand traps. The only hand trap that I've actually looked into that isn't ultra rare is Skullmeister, but that's a level 4, so it's not especially great in Phantom Knight. I would recommend investing into getting hand traps first and foremost, but if you wish to just start off, I recommend opening until you get a Shade Brigandine from like the meta packs, and then opening maybe like 10 or so packs of the Phantom Knight cards, or just crafting these cards because they're not too expensive. So this is basic Phantom Knights. This is going to be a triple Kagamucha for extenders. We run 3 BAs. We run Graph, we run Seer, we run Little Bitch. We run Little Bitch just because since we don't have Tour Guide, we need 1 extra extender and 1 other BA name. BAs are bricks by themselves, but if you open 2 BAs, they're not a brick. It's actually pretty good if you open 2 BAs. We run 2 Cloak, 3 Boots, 2 Gloves, and then 2 Stain Greaves and 3 Torn Scale for the PKs. Since this is my OCG list, everyone's running Max C, so keep that in mind. And since Crossout and the Brave tokens aren't in this game, you need to either run Max C or be like not really affected by it, or be ready to stop. This deck primarily, PK is pretty good because if they maxi you, you can make a Cherubini, dump a Boots, and then just get a Fog Blade and pass turn with the Fog Blade, and maybe set 1 more set card, which isn't too bad, especially in the lower ranks. I'd say if you're like anywhere between gold and below, this deck will do just fine. But once you reach platinum, you probably need to invest in better cards. But yeah, we run 1 Jackalope just because it's the worst danger, but it is a level 3. You run 3 Snake because it's always a level 3 extender on board, and it's amazing to pitch off of Torn Scale, and it can draw you to better cards. We run a Wielder and a Tracker, as well as the E-Tellies. And then this game, since it's also OCG, everyone's running Skill Drain, specifically in Eldritch, because Skill Drain's at 3. So you need back row removal because PKs don't really have a way to out Skill Drain without their monster effects, because breaks were the monster effect. So we run 1 MST triple twin, just because these are the cheapest ones. If you have Lightning Storm, if you bought like that Lightning Storm thing, you can use that as well. Econ's just a good card because you can take your opponent's card in the middle of their combo by attributing a PK, which you will have plenty of, or you can switch to the position if that matters. Triple Chalice just because it's a rare and it's, again, a good card. And then 1 Shade Brigandine. This is just an extender to make Rusty, if in the case that you draw, like, I don't know, Cloak plus Boots. You can make Rusty with that if you don't want to be dumping Graph, or let's say your Graph gets interrupted with like an Ash. You can get boots to get Shade Brigandine and bring out a Rusty like that. Shade Brigandine in this game is actually pretty bad, just because Verity's in the game, but Phoenix Enforcer isn't, and Dragoon is banned. So because of all that, you don't want to be making Verite, like, at all. And that also means the artifact line is pretty inaccessible. If you're running a higher rarity PK build, the artifacts are kind of viable, just because you can Rusty on your opponent's turn to pop the artifact, but that's a little bit less consistent. So I don't think that's the right way. Levier is very good because it's a super and it lets you beat grind game, like compete in the grind game a lot better. If you pull like a Utopic Draco Future, you can Levier into Levier and then have an extra guy when you make Utopic Draco. And some people aren't expecting it, so it might force them to be really, so you can make extra plays. Cost of Shadow is just a monster negate. Break Sword's like insane, like it's crazy. And so is Cherubini because it sends for cost. Guys, just remember though, before you activate Cherubini, before you bring out Cherubini, make sure you have an extra body, just to protect it from like pops. Like that's just common PK stuff though. And Boral Sword's just a good OTK tool, but I would only be running this and then the Blind Second build, just because in my personal builds I run some of the more funky cards just because people don't expect you to run it, and since this is best of one, if you can just kill your opponent immediately, that's it. Best of ones also mean you want to be putting like generic side deck cards in your main deck, but it also makes your deck inconsistent. That's the main downside of the PKs, you can draw just like Seer and like triple Fogblade, and you will just lose like that if your opponent like Lightning Storms you. So yeah, I'm not saying that PK is great, but PK is alright for like, it's not too expensive. Second one is going to be Trap PK. Since this meta, it can be a little bit slower. If you get Max Seed, this deck is pretty good for that. This is kind of implementing the resources for the Trap BA deck, but Trap PK because your monsters don't float immediately, but they'll all float eventually. So we upped, the only change in the ratios in the PKs is we upped the glove count by 1, I believe. I think I've upped the glove count by 1, just because you need a little bit more recursability, like being able to bring stuff back. So triple Tour Guide, since this one isn't necessarily supposed to be cheap, Tour Guide is really good at either baiting negation, getting advantage, you know, all the generic stuff. Triple Kagamucha, I think Kagamucha is really good in PK just because it's almost always live. You can even activate your own Graph, like let's say you have a Cherubini Engrave and you draw, and you have Graph Kage, you could normal Graph, special Kage, bring out Seer, Seer below up, bring back Cherubini effect, and then make Rusty like that. That's just a hypothetical situation. Yeah. One called by, because I only have one, I'd recommend running more just because hand traps are pretty relevant. I just don't have enough, credits for it at the moment. Triple Torrential. Torrentials are rare, so this is pretty convenient, and, Field Wipes are good. Wing Blast to stack your opponent's good cards. One wing, it protects your monsters, and it's just an extra copy of Fogblade in the Grave. Triple Imperm, because it's a trap and a hand trap at the same time. So this will help your opponent stop going off. Judgment and Warning, I only have one of each. I'm not sure if you'd run more. This is just like a hypothetical situation. IO, and then these. Another card I would recommend running in the extra is Underworld Goddess, just so you don't get scummed out of the game with a guy that you can't get over. It's also pretty good against Eldritch, since Conquistador doesn't target. So yeah, and you can also get rid of Eldritch that way too. Then Blind Second PK. So since a lot of decks like Eldritch want to be going first, you can Blind Second. So this deck involves 9 hand traps, triple Maxi, triple Ash, triple Imperm, and most of the ratios are the same. We did cut Little Bitch and one gloves, as well as not including a tracker and only putting a wielder in, and cutting a Staingreaves. and we included a Duster, Triple Twin, a Droplet, and we cut a Fog Blade just to fit this all in at 40 cards. Yeah, I think everything here is like self-explanatory. You run Underworld Goddess and Boral Sword, as well as this is the Spice, Arc Rebellion, XYZ Dragon. I've had multiple games where this has gone up to 15k, and I may or may not upload like a compilation video of just like a bunch of games. Who knows? If I feel like editing, I guess. Editing in big quotations. But yeah, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. I'm personally a fan of, almost all my lists are going to be related to the XYZ mechanic, or the Xyz mechanic instead of the Link mechanic. Link PK I'm not saying is bad, I just think it's very expensive in this game, just because access codes an ultra rare, I think IP's an ultra rare, all these are ultras, and I don't think it's very good. The thing with PK in this game is it gains and it loses a lot. Because Sword Soul isn't in the game, I don't believe. Let me just double check, make sure I'm not just spewing bullshit. Yeah, it is not in the game. Since Sword Soul isn't in the game, that's the main reason PK is kind of... I'm not saying the main reason, but it's one of the big reasons why it's not in the meta at this exact moment in the TCG. But since Sword Soul isn't in the game, you don't have to deal with Protoss. And since you don't have to deal with this fucking card right here, you're free to do whatever you want. Although you do need to deal with Max C. And a little card that everyone is fucking running, which I hate so much. Skill Drain. Because it's at 3, and it's a super rare. So yes, that's why you want to be running Twin Twisters. It gets rid of this, it gets rid of the Monarch field spell, gets rid of all the fucking bullshit. Same thing with Droplet. Droplet outs a lot of stuff. And then lastly, it's gonna be my personal build of PK. This is the build that I've been running in ladder. I've only played, I think, 20 or 30 games in ladder, so this could do you some work. I'm currently in platinum, I believe. I don't remember though. So I'm running triple Max C, triple Tour Guide, triple Kage, Seer Graph, and somehow even 45 cards. I draw fucking Seer every single time, which is real cool. I run double Cloak just for longevity, triple Boots, a singular Gloves, triple Ash, double Snake, Psychics, Stain Greaves, triple Torn Scale, Rhoda. I'm maining triple Twister, one Call, triple Droplet, the rank up, Wings, triple Imperm, Io, and then triple Fog Blade. I'm running the Draco Future package, Leviers, Break Sword, Dark Rebellion into Dark Requiem, and then the Raider's Knight into Arc Rebellion. You can also rank up magic into the Arc Rebellion. Some decks just don't have an out for this, like natively, which is really convenient. Like, I went against Dragon Maid, and that deck does not really have a convincing out to Arc Rebellion, just because it gets really big. Also, your opponent can't access code this, so it can save you for like a whole turn, because it can't be destroyed by card effects, just like, period. IP Masquerade into Unicorn and then Underworld Goddess as well. It's really funny to IP Masquerade into Underworld Goddess on your opponent's turn. That very rarely happens. It's more into Unicorn. But yeah, I might make another video like this. Who knows? Thank you guys for watching and listening to my rambling. If you have any ideas for Phantom Knight, leave them in the comments. I'm going to look at them and I'm not going to respond to them. If there are any comments, who knows. But thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Enjoy Master Duel.